All right, we are going to be doing a demonstration video for the enzyme. Oops. All right, we're going to be doing a demonstration video for Enzyme Kinetics Lab for Biology 105. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to take your data set, all right, which is going to look a little bit like this. And I'm going to show you how to convert it into the figures that you need to submit for your assignment. I'm also going to tell you how to interpret this data. Okay, so if you look right here, you'll see I have the protocol. You're going to end up filling out a few tables in your lab. Table 1B, Table 1C, Table 2B, 2C, and then you'll be using Table 3A or Table 3B in order to conduct your hypothetical experiment. Now, depending on if you're in the Montgomery lab or the Wilson lab, your assignment might look slightly different. The Montgomery lab is one I run, so of course I'm going to be giving you some tips specific to that. All right, great. So let's go ahead and show you how to take the data once you have it copied into an Excel sheet. So take that table from experiment 1. You're going to start with just tube numbers as indicated here, and then minutes indicated here, and then, absorbance values indicated here. Okay. Now, tube 1 here is a control tube. So we want to subtract that absorbance value from each tube at each time point. Now, maybe you already did this in your lab time, but if you have not already done it, I'm going to show you how to make Excel do it for you, which is going to save you some effort. All right. So we're going to set up an Excel function here. You may or may not be familiar with these, so just bear with me and watch what we're doing. I hit the equals sign, okay, while clicking a cell. Now, what I'm telling Excel is inside this cell, we're going to run a function, a formula, okay? Now, I want it to do a certain thing. What I want Excel to do is I'm going to highlight these because my cursor isn't being captured. For example, in column C, row 4, I want Excel to take the highlighted value and subtract that value from it, subtract the control value. But I also want it to do the same thing for C7. I want it to also subtract C3. Now, if I'm looking over here at, say, E6, I want the E6 value, whatever's in that cell, I would like the formula to subtract this value held in E3. So there's a way to do this. If we're trying to just make Excel take one cell's value and subtract another cell's value from it, it's as simple as hitting equals and then selecting the cell and then putting a minus sign in and then selecting the cell we want it to subtract from. Now, here's the really cool thing. If I grab that cell right there and I drag it over to the right, well, then watch what happens. It knows to move the cells that it is referencing over one as well. So if I highlight the formula bar at the top, you'll see that now that is taking the value in 2, 3 and subtracting it from the value in D3 from D4. All right. But here's a problem. I've told Excel to take whatever value is up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up by 7 and subtract the value that is up by 8. So there's a way to make Excel hold certain things constant, and it's the $sign. So I'm going to click up in the formula bar. Mine says C4 minus C3. If I put a $sign before the number 3, that tells Excel, hey, listen, if I'm dragging this to the right, you can change rows, but you can change columns, but do not change rows. I'm telling it to only draw values from row 3. Now, if I drag that cell over to the right and then drag that all the way down, you'll see that Excel has taken, if I click, for example, here, at 18 minutes, in the tube that has 500 microliters of unboiled enzyme. That value should be 18 minutes, 500 microliters unboiled enzyme, minus the control tube at 18 minutes. Okay? It's just that simple. Now, this is not an Excel class, so there's lots of stuff to learn about this, but that might indicate to you what Excel can do. Okay, hopefully that saved you some effort. Now let's look at actually making the figure. Okay? So for the first figure, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of the data. Well, let me start here. Look at how I have these tube numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not especially informative. So instead, I have the amount of unboiled enzyme listed here. 0, 100, 200, 500, and 1,000 microliters. Okay? That's going to become useful later. So let's go ahead and highlight this table with all the different timestamps and then all the different absorbance values. I'm going to go to the top of the window and hit the Insert button. Then you'll see under Charts, there is Insert Scatter or Bubble Chart. What we want to insert is a scatter plot with smoothed lines. All right? And don't worry, I know that right now the figure doesn't look right, but we're going to be able to fix that really quickly. So just insert scatter with smooth lines. Then Excel should automatically open up Chart Tools at the top. And under Chart Design, under Chart Tools, you're going to see Switch Row and Column Data. Okay? If you click that Switch Row Column Data button, then you're going to find you have a nice, clear figure. Should look exactly like what you want. Alrighty. So we're going to do a few things to make this look nicer. One thing we're going to do is we're going to delete the title. We're also going to get rid of the grid lines. You do this by clicking the grid line and then hitting the delete key. Do it for both the vertical and the horizontal grid lines. It makes the figure look better. Now you're also going to need to add in axis titles. So you can click the little green plus sign that highlights when you select your figure and then check the axis titles button. That's going to bring up a y-axis title and an x-axis title. Let's go ahead and retitle these axes. All right. I want my y-axis to be absorbance. I want my x-axis to be time, and I want to give units for time of min or minutes. All right, remember, absorbance has no units, but we usually follow it up with the wavelength that we measured absorbance at in parentheses. So you can look that up in the protocol. Let's just say that the number, for example, would be 750 nanometers. Now, that's not the right answer, okay? So look up your own. All right. There's absorbance. We have another thing that would be nice to clean up. Look at how far this x-axis goes. It goes all the way up to 30 minutes, but our values only go up to, 24 minutes. So how about we just go ahead, click that x-axis, right-click it, and select Format Axis. Okay? That's going to open up this Format Axis window on the right side, and you can just adjust the maximum bound to 25 minutes. And now you have a much more reasonable figure right off the bat. Okay? Now, we have another problem here. Our legend just says Series 1, Series 2, Series 3, and Series 4, and Series 5. Now, these are not very informative as far as it comes to labels for these lines. So you're going to want to fix that. Go ahead and right-click your figure and go to Select Data. That's going to open up this window where you can select your data sources. Now, there are other ways of accomplishing this, but with a figure this simple, we're going to use the quick and easy way of editing these series names. So, Series 1, I select it and I go Edit. It opens up this window, and it's already highlighting series name. So I just select 0 microliters, and I hit Enter. And boom, it's been fixed. Series 2, I edit this, and I make it the 100. Series 3, select, edit, the 200. Series 4, select it, edit it, 500, hit Enter. And then Series 5, select it, edit it, 1,000 microliters, hit Enter. Okay, and done. All right, now we've got a nice figure that tells us, oh, hey, what's going on here? It's the quantity of unboiled enzyme There's all these different lines, and you can actually draw some inferences here. So what we're looking at is an increase in absorbance over time with increased quantities of enzymes. In this figure, from this set of data, the higher the quantity of enzyme was, all right, like in that line there, the higher the quantity of enzyme, the higher the absorbance value got. Now remember, the absorbance value is proportional to how much product was made by the enzyme. Therefore, higher absorbance value means more product. Okay, so I've got this one done. And if you're me, I like to have multiple worksheets with different titles. So I'm going to call worksheet 1 here enzyme concentration. Because our second experiment over here is substrate concentration. Okay? And remember, our substrate is catechol. So, experiment 2 is going to be substrate concentration. Once again, this is just optional stuff. I've already copied in all of the values, okay, from this data and reorganized it. I've got all these different tubes, okay? They have different quantities of catechol added. So once again, we have a control tube where there's no catechol, and this is meant to control for endogenous catechol. Catechol that was already there, present inside of the potato extract. Okay, we're not interested in that, so we're subtracting that value. I'm going to do the same formula that I used last time, okay, where I put equals, okay. I want it to be the 100 microliter tube minus the control. Right there, boom. But remember, I need to go into that formula, and I need to throw a dollar sign here, so that when I drag the cell down, it doesn't adjust, it doesn't lower the cell that's being referenced. So I'm going to drag this over, and then I'm going to drag that down, and there we go. There's another way of doing this. You could also select the cell with the formula, hold shift, select the other cells where you want the formula to be applied, and hit Control D. That will also, no, that won't do that. Disregard. Grab the lower right and drag it over. That's going to be better. Okay, cool. Do the same thing here, and boom. Now we have some values that we can graph. Once again, we highlight all the data, including the times. Insert, go to the scatter plot, the scatter with smooth lines. Okay, we're going to delete that title. Boom. And we're going to delete those grid lines. Okay, great. We're going to go into that x-axis and format that axis, and these values only go up to 20 minutes, so we're just going to go right here, okay, right click, format the axis, make the maximum be 20, and then hit enter. Great. Add some axis titles. Absorbance on the y-axis, and time with min in the x-axis. All right, those series names are not informative. Let's go ahead and actually adjust this, make this say 100 microliters, 200 microliters, 500 microliters, 1,000, and microliters right there. I like that more. Okay, right-click the figure, go to select data, and then for each of those series, select them, and then change the names. Just like how I showed you to do previously, I select the series, I hit the edit button, and I select the cell that contains the name. Okay? Now, why am I selecting a cell for this? Well, one great reason is then if I decide I want to change my labels later, it's as easy as typing in a different value. See how that changed the label? Okay, great. Now I have two figures, and they're looking pretty solid. All right. The first figure relates to modifying enzyme concentrations, and the second figure relates to modifying substrate concentrations. All right. Now, the last experiment we have to do is involving either pH or temperature. Now, in this experiment right here, I'm going to do a couple things real fast. Okay? I'm going to change these labels to say pH2, pH5, pH7, pH8, pH10, and pH12. Okay? Then I'm going to select my data. Here we go. There are no controls for this experiment, so there's no tube to subtract. Insert a scatter plot with fit lines, switch row and column, just that easy. And then standard issue, delete the figures, the lines, okay. Delete that, all right. And then we're gonna edit the series names once again, but, oops, sorry. You've already seen how to do that before, okay. Let's go ahead and format that x-axis as requested. Make it 25, it's a reasonable number. There we go, that's looking great. Now don't forget to add in your axis titles and everything like this. The interpretation's the same, okay? Higher absorbance means that the enzyme was functioning more. The reaction was happening more rapidly, and you're getting more product. The last thing I want to worry about with you is going to be really quick. Just take your figures, copy them, okay? Take them right into Word, okay? It's going to make your life easier. Take the figures, copy them into Word. Sorry, I have this table here. And just paste them, okay? Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. Then right-click the figure and insert a caption, okay? And just give it a... And then once you insert the caption, you can edit this and say like, you know, Figure 1, effect of enzyme concentration on reaction rate. Then add a note, collected, and then put a date in here at Cal Poly Humboldt. You can include any additional details you want here, like line values indicate quantity of unboiled enzyme extract. Now you've got all the information that I need, okay? I'd like you to do this too. Go view at the top, throw the ruler on, okay? And then highlight your figure caption and adjust it like so. Once you have all three figures in here, you can go File and you can save this as a PDF file, okay? Save it as a PDF file. You can make one file that has all of your different figures in it, okay? So I'm going to say, go ahead, do that. That shows you how to do it. My battery's about to die, so I got to end this demonstration. I hope this was helpful. Have a great day.